Hello, everybody. I think we have a lag today, and so I am just double checking that this is working. So the internet is not my friend today, but we're going to see how it goes, and we'll just do the best we can. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started and pray that this all works out. So if you do join me today, I would love it if you would say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. 2 weeks ago in studio sessions at 2, we created a gel print masterboard and these, let me pull up my project here. Let's see if it's going to go. Okay, there we go. All right. So on my side, it's working. So we created a gel print masterboard, and when I update this video tomorrow, I will link that in the description. But basically what we did was stamp on the back side of it, and then we created this little botanical with a stamp. And so I was thinking about what we would do with them, and I was going to do a journal page, but in all honesty, my journal is something that I really love to take my time in. I don't like to rush it. Hello, Shannon. Thank you so much for joining. And so I thought we could do something fun. And so I'm going to let you know where I got started. I am working with shipping tags, and I started with masterboards that I created and turned them into printables. And so I have several here, and these are just some colors that I've used. So these are all created from gel prints that I collaged and turned into a masterboard. And so then I created printables with them, and that's what I'm working with today. I also have a few little specialty papers. But what I did to get started for today is I went ahead and took the printables and decoupaged them onto the shipping tags. And then I also created some new little botanical elements. I did all the fussy cutting. You're welcome. We don't have to do that together today. Hello, Bev. Thank you so much for joining. And so I have two little botanicals, and I cut out a little circle and just went around the circle. I used this little tin to use as a pattern, and on the back of my paper I traced it and cut it out, and then I just did some little floral things. So I have some colors that actually all work together. I have some stamps, I have some inks, I have some paints, and I thought we would just go from there. So I used my Yes paste to attach these onto the paper so that the shipping tags didn't become too fragile from all of the wetness. They're not really a mixed media paper, but they are super fun to work with. And so we're going to get the basics done today, and then any finishing touches I make on them, I'll record that and put that in an edited final video on YouTube. So anyway, thanks again for being here, and let's go ahead and get started. So for this first one, I thought I might use, I kind of like these colors all work together because they are from the gel prints that I used. And so you can see that this green is repeated in there, and I thought, so I might use that one in there. And then this one, I thought I could use this as, I thought I might make this a little more transparent and use this. And then here, I thought we might just do some kind of floral thing. So that's kind of what I was thinking about when I was watching this or thinking about this. And so I thought I'm going to go ahead and set my stamp aside. So let's do one at a time. And I have this one. And like I said, I love this green, this vibrant green with it. And I thought I have this specialty paper. And so this is a piece of paper that I purchased at the paper source. We have one that's local to us, and they've got beautiful handmade and printed papers. And I love to go in there and look and see what I can find. So I actually think I want to try to recreate something like this at some point. And when I feel it, it feels like it is a glassine paper, which is transparent. You can see my hand through it. And it looks like it's just two pieces of it that they did a grid of jute and, you know, did a little bit of, that. So I'm going to tear a little bit. I will have to tear and cut So I'm going to go ahead and tear. I don't want to do a whole piece, but I do want some of this. So I'm going to just start here and cut some of this. I really like this for a layer. I think it's really, really pretty. And I'm going to see about where I want this. So we're going to just do a really simple little one. I think I want, maybe I can, do I want it to go like that? I do want about 2 of them. So I'm going to cut this a little shorter, and it is going to even out those ends. And I think I'll just do a little ripping because torn paper is just a little extra texture, right? And so I'm just going to layer. We're just going to do some simple little tags, and I'm sure that I won't be done. I'll add embellishments and that kind of thing because, that's just, I mean, it's hard to stop, right? So I'm just going to tear a little bit of this, and I'm going to see where I want that. I think I'll do it about here. So I'm going to cut right here, and we'll just let this be a little bit loose on this. And I'm just going to cut there. And I can just do that, but I think I'll just go ahead and rip this down here at the bottom and up at the top as well. And we'll kind of line up that edge. I will cut it once it is in place. I think, yeah. So I'm kind of liking that. And then my idea is that maybe we would layer even something else or do a little paint swatch or something like that on this. But these little elements are so much fun to work with. I do want to give it a little more definition. And so I have some ink pads here, and I think I want to go with something darker. So this is just a little archival ink pad. It's like a little spot pad. It's teeny tiny, and you can get a lot of them. But I'm going to want to get into the crevices of this. And so I'm going to give this a little definition by just going around with a Q-tip, because it's pretty fragile right now. And I'm just going to ink the edges of this. And this is just going to give it a little more definition and help it pop on the page. And just age it. So it's interesting because when you use the masterboards, every element that you cut from them is going to be unique and different because the collage is not the same in any one place. So I may actually just have to do a little, this isn't working as well as I thought it would. It could be my ink pad. But I'm going to keep going here. Maybe I'll do it when it's on there, but I think my ink pad is a little dry. That could be it. I'm getting ink on there though, so I'm not sure what's going on, but we're just going to go ahead and ink these, and I'll finish it up when I add that. But it is going to give it a little more pop, and I can actually trim that a little bit. So let's go ahead and get this little decorative paper on first. I'm going to use my Yes paste because this is it is heavy in weight, so it's pretty thick, and I really don't feel like my regular medium will work with that. So I'm going to go ahead. I like to use a plastic card for this. And I'm going to take this and go on the back of my paper, and I'm going to spread this out with this little plastic card. And this is going to get that medium on. It's going to get this paste on fairly quickly. I'm going to have a lot of sticky stuff on here. I'm going to go ahead and put this in place where I think I want it. We'll go just right there, and I'll trim off the excess on that other side. And I'm going to push that in place, and we'll set that aside for a little bit. And let's see what we want to do. I recommend when you're working with Yes Paste to always have some baby wipes or something to clean up close by, because it is just sticky stuff. So I'll set that over there. And I think maybe something else that we could do is, I think we'll just stamp on the next one because this already has a little bit of a grid. But I think it could be kind of interesting if we just did some kind of little paint swatch or something like that on here just to give it a little more color. And so I'm thinking about, I have this, and so I'm thinking about, if I did something green, then this is going to fade into the background. So I could just do something like a little orange or something like that. Let's see what we can come up with. Oops, I've really got to be careful with that. So let's see if we can come up with a little bit of an orange color. I'm going to stick that in there. I make a mess really quickly. I don't know about any of you, but it takes me 2 seconds to make a ginormous mess. So I have a few colors. I really don't have a great orange, so I'm going to just try to make something. Let's see if it'll work. I have some cadmium red hue, and I have some yellow ochre. I might have needed a brighter yellow for this, but we're going to see what we get. Let's see if we can just mix something up and see what we get. So I'm just going to kind of come in here and see. I think that might be a little, let me see if I can add just a little bit of a white to it, or actually just a little bit of this parchment. It's more of an off-white, so it's a little softer. And let's see what we get with that. It's maybe a little peachy. It's a little peachy. So maybe what we can do instead is just pick up a little of this yellow and see if that doesn't work instead. Let me just get a little bit of that and see what I think of that. We can try it. We can always add something a little different to it. And all I'm going to do is just do a little rough painting on this. And it's just going to give it a little bit of a focal point. And I'm being really messy with it. Other than the elements that I was going to use and the tags and the background paper, I really didn't have a plan. So let's go ahead and mix a little of the parchment as well. It'll brighten it up a little bit and see what we get. We're just going to play because that's the best part of it. And so I'm just going to just do some paint splotches in here. Just a little bit, just like that. And where's my water? There it is. All right, so we're going to let that dry, and I can set this one aside. And so for this one, I guess we'll just kind of do it in a little bit of a, oh gosh, I don't know, a little, what do we call it when we go boom, boom, boom? I can't even speak today. I'm having a problem with that. Let's use, if I'm going to be doing a flower, I have this little stamp here. It has some text. Even though the print already has a little bit of text, we can add a little bit more because this is fairly subtle. And so I'm just going to put this on a stamping block that I have. And I am using, what color is this? This is Vintage Photo. So I hope it's going to show up. Let's see. I want it to be something a little subtle. But let's see what we do here. And I'm going to do these little butterflies off to the side here. Just like that. And so we get a little more interest with that. I like that. And it's not, completely in there, but that's okay. It didn't go over the whole thing, but I think that's fine. And so I thought, I wonder, I have this little sheet of, I'm going to get my element over here. I have this little sheet. Let's see. I have some deli paper to work with. That could be kind of pretty. I have some wand paper, which is a really thin, transparent paper when we use it. I also could do something. I think what I want to do with this one is I want to try something a little different. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and stamp. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to go ahead and stamp this is a stamp that I made, and it's what I made the botanicals out of. So I just carved this one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of this. I'm going to need something a little darker, I think. Let's see what I've got. I had a little spot. I've got this little olive one. So I'm going to use, yeah, that's darker. So let's see if we can do a little layering underneath and with our transparency. So let me see if this is, I hope it's going to stick to the deli paper. It should, because it's a pigment ink, so it should be fine. But let's see what we get. All right, so I'm not going to fussy cut these. I'm going to just create something underneath. I'm going to see if I can. I don't know how this is going to work, but let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can do that. All right, I've got that. That's not too bad. I can fill in. And then what I thought is we could layer this, or do I want to do it on the tissue paper? Let's do it on the tissue paper instead. I'll use that for something else. I am just thinking out loud today, you guys. And so let's go ahead and ink this up again. I really love this olive color. I think it's really, really pretty. So let's just go ahead and I'm going to do I have an idea, but I'm not completely sure how it's going to work. So let's see how we do. Okay. And then I'm going to just do a little bit here. I can see it in my head, but I don't know if it's really going to work. So I just want to do a couple of these. And so this one's a little bit lighter. I like that. And this is a little darker. So here's the method to my madness. I think instead what I want to do is to layer. I have something in mind like this. Okay, so it'll be a little subtle, but again, off to the side. And so we're just kind of repeating a shape. But then what I think I want to do is go ahead and I'm going to, do I want to just go right over the top of that or not? Let's see. Please tell me you talk to yourself too when you're creating. I would appreciate knowing that. So I'm going to lose a little bit of that, but how can I? Oh, I know. I'll just stamp the deli paper. So let's go ahead and I'm going to just go ahead and tear this. That's okay. I'm going to tear this and this. It's just layering and layering and layering and layering. That's all we're really doing. Okay. I don't want everything to be perfectly on here. So I'm going to come about here, I think, and I'll even come off the edge a little bit. Let me see if this is going to, because again, this is what I have in mind. So let me go ahead and use my decoupage medium. I'm just going to use some Wise Owl 1 hour enamel clear coat if it's not too stuck in here. And we're going to go ahead and decoupage this. This transparent paper or this wand paper should pretty much disappear into the tag when we do this. So I'm going to, I don't want to lose everything here. So I'm going to go about here. Let's go here. And hopefully I won't smear my ink. Hopefully it's dry enough, the vintage photo. It is just distress ink. Now, when I go over this is when we should start to see it. I don't know how it's going to go. We'll see. I've got a little bit, I'm going to use a different brush when I go over the top because I can see that I'm smearing a little bit. Because when the wet hits the Distress ink, it will start going all over because that's what it does. So I don't even mind that. We're just going to embrace anything that happens here, right? We're just going to embrace it. So I'm going to get a clean brush for this and go over the top of this. Let's see if this works. It might be too transparent. I just decoupaged something that I didn't want on there. Might be a little too transparent, but we will see. Not everything that I have in my head works out. That's okay. It's fun to try and practice, and a little shipping tag and a little bit of paper is a fairly easy risk. So we're going to go ahead and set this one aside. And now this is dry enough that I think we can just do something as simple as, which one was I going to use? I was going to use, what was I using? Was I using this one for this? I did it the wrong way. So that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and I think I can do the flower on this one, and that actually could be a happy accident. So I'll set that aside because I just used the wrong one on here. And so I want to layer just a little bit more, but I don't know exactly what. Let's just see what we can do by just keeping it super, super simple. So I'm going to take a small brush. This is really delicate paper, and I'm going to go on the back of it and then lift it up and see if I can get it in place. And let's see if that works. Tags are such a fun thing to add to a package or turn them into a card. So I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to put this gently in place, holding my breath so I don't tear it. And then we're definitely going to need to add some more definition to this, okay? But we've got at least something attached to it, so that's a start. And it's dry enough that I can turn this over and cut the excess off. And so that's kind of fun. And I think we could do something as simple as just adding a little definition to this with a pen or something like that. So this other one that I'm going to do is something super, super simple. And that is to use the transparent jelly paper. I'm going to tear this. Just going to tear some. And we're going to do something like this, something super, super simple. They don't have to take a lot of time. And that's going to be I want some of the background to show, but what we're going to do is just soften it a little bit, right? And so I'm going to come here with this one, and I'm going to stamp this one. And I think I'm going to, do I want to use the same stamp? Let's just use the same stamp. Why not? I've already got it inked up, and we can do that. So we'll just do something. Let's do this. I'm going to use the vintage photo again. So a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to do this little, I'm going to come off here with it, and we'll just stamp kind of the whole thing, just like this, and see what we get. Does anybody have any questions, or are you just watching the hot mess here? So I can come here and just add a little bit of texture to this. And yeah, I can just do that. I'm going to fold it about here. My ink isn't quite dry, but I'm going to fold it about here. And then I can have this one pop a little bit, and we'll do that too. So let's see. Do I want to add a little paint to that? Instead, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to use my ink pad and just stamp a little color on here and see what I get. It gives it a little bit of a background to stand out against. And then we will just do some mark making and see how we can get these to pop. All right, so for this paper though, I definitely want this to have some definition around the paper. It's super light, and I should have thought of that on the other one. So I'm just going to take the vintage photo, and I'm going to ink the edges of this paper. And I think I might even just kind of come up in here and just do a little, I don't know. Let's see. Do we like that? Yeah, that's fine. All right. And so now I'm going to decoupage this onto, I'm going to go ahead and put this in place. And so when we create masterboards, they're just so much fun to work with, and so much of the design work behind it is already done for you. Your background is done, everything's done, and it's just a really beautiful thing. So this isn't really dry, but we're going to go ahead and lay this down anyway. I'm going through a lot of brushes today. So let's see what we can do here. I'm just going to go over this tag. Now, I will say the thing that I forgot to share with you is that before I started applying mediums to the paper on these tags, the printable paper, I used a fixative spray. I used one by Degas, and it is a spray, and it seals that ink, because this was done with an inkjet print, because that's the printer that I have. And it does a really nice job if you just follow the instructions. If you get impatient like I do sometimes, then you might have a little smearing, but if you follow the instructions and just hang in there, I'm going to come a little off here, just like that. And I'm going to press that in place. It's going to smear quite a bit. And so what I'm getting is a little bit of a softer background here. And I've got some wrinkles, but I'm just going to embrace those. Okay. I'm going to embrace the wrinkles. All right, let's go back to this one. And are you still with me? Thank you, Shannon. The colors are really pretty. I thought I would use something that was a little, what am I trying to say? I think we're going to use, are we going to use the flower on this one? Or no, we're going to use the flower on this one, I think is what we're going to do. So one of the ideas that I had was that I could just do something like this, and you can see how adding another layer on top of this makes this just really interesting and soft. And so when this is on top of it, or this one, if that's what we wanted to use, I'm still trying to decide. I had already glued onto the other tag, I've lost my other tag, you guys. I have lost my other tag. What did I do with it? I had 3 tags. This one. Okay. So you can see how this one pops. I wish I would have saved this one for this, but I didn't. So we're going to see what we can do. And now what I'm trying to decide before I glue anything else anywhere is, how do I want to use this? And I think I could just do something like this, but I feel like I would want another layer. And so I'm just going to fold this back right now, because even if it sticks, I can paint the back of my tag. But I just want to get an idea of, I mean, I kind of like it like that. I think the flower could be really pretty. Let's just go with it, and we'll see if we can save this one. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is I'm going to crinkle this up a little bit, you guys, with my hands. And that's just to give it a little bit of texture. I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to put this in place, but we're going to kind of paint it out with a flower. I think this looks really nice. I think I like the orange with this. These greens are really more in an olive family. And so, especially with that ink popping up. And I do love the pop of the orange. And we've got that vintage photo. So I think that's a really good combination. So far, I'm thinking I may be able to save this one. So I'm going to go ahead and, even though it's got a little bit of the wrinkling in it, I'm going to use my Yes paste on the back of this flower. And I don't want too much wet all over my tag. And I'm going to place this where I think I want it. And I think I'm going to just kind of come here a little bit. And I'm going to put that down in place. But then because I was going to paint on it, but instead, I think I may, if I wanted to paint on top of this, my next step would be to let this completely dry, and then I would paint out the entire tag with a clear gesso. And the reason I would do that is because, one, the paper is fragile. It's just a rice paper. And two, because it serves as a primer. And so it would allow me to paint on this. So I do have some Posca pens. And so I may get those out. You could use markers or whatever you wanted, but let's see which one we can work with. Let's let this dry while I decide if I'm going to break out the Posca pens. But this one I'm really liking. I like the color. I like the composition. I like that this is a little faded. This is a little more prominent. And then this poor baby, I don't know. We're going to figure them out. All right. So let's go to this one and see if we can just do something a little simple. So this is just a black micron pen. I don't have a brown. A brown would probably be my preference. I could get out the Posca pens, but I'm just going to do something as simple as just doing some loose tracing around this leaf. It's a great way to add. It's not working super well because underneath, I think I've got some wet paper. Let me see if I've got a bigger one here that would work. This is an 04. This was an 01. So this one may be just a little too thin. This one's a little, this one's a little thicker. And so I'm just going to come around here and do a little loose tracing. Around this. And I can see that my stem isn't fully down. So I'll have to come back in there and do this. Okay, and so already we can do that. I think it needs something a little bit down here. I think I could use some diamond glaze. Are you surprised to hear me say that? Diamond glaze on the leaf and really make it pop. I can come around here and do a little aging or distressing. I might just bring out a little bit of the green. I don't know if I can. Let's see if my Q-tip trick will work with this one. See if it's juicier. If I can get that. Come in here and just add a little color to the edges of the tag. Yeah, so the Q-tip does work. It was my, it was definitely my ink pad was not dry or juicy enough. It was an older one. Okay, and let's go around the entire tag with this. We'll just continue those greens and ink the edges. Add a little color to that. Okay, and so I've got a little area here that needs some paste. and I want to make sure that that leaf is down. So I'll just put a little paste in here and we'll get him in place. All right. So this one to me is ready for it. I feel like I got the basics down for it. And so this one it's got the leaf in place. I mean, I can see like metal embellishments, a little, a quote, something down here. I could see a little more, like a little darker inking around here. I could see that. But pretty much, I think this is a fun start. So this one I'm going to leave for the final embellishments. Let's look at this one and see what we can do to salvage this. So I have this one, and like I said, I could just cut another element of this for it. But the other thing I could do is just stamp behind it to bring it out a little bit more. And so I'm going to see if this works. I don't know if it will. Oh, no, that's the wrong stamp one. I think I'm just going to toss this one because it's so old and it's not even working. So let's see if we can stamp this. And since I cut it, I'm going to just kind of come here, stamp that. I'm going to try this and see if it works. Even though I cut it from the same shape, I'm wondering if I lay that on top. I actually think it needs something more brown. So or something a little yellow. So let me just wipe this off as best as I can. Thanks for hanging in there with me while I just kind of play and figure it out. All right. I need to dry that off a little bit. I don't know. Well, maybe it'll just add to the distress effect. Okay, so I'm not going to get lined up super well, but that's okay. Okay, that's kind of pretty. So already it's got a little dark to it, and I can just kind of layer this leaf and then outline it and see what we get. I could also just darken this little element here up with my ink pad and give it a little more color, since I'm disappointed that I didn't use this one in a softer place. So I'm just kind of coloring the paper, but then I'm kind of losing some of that gel print to it. Lift this up carefully. So it looks kind of cool because it's a little rustic in there. Still not loving it. I think I'll just go over it with this one and see what we get. I just need it to be a little darker, but it still looks pretty cool. Just inking up that paper. But now it's kind of like a little ghost print in the back. And now I need to add the green back to it. So this is just what happens when we do this. So I'm going to just add some stamping and color this paper up a little bit. And I still have a little bit of that ghost print from the leaf. And now I'm going to carefully paint over this with my medium and see if we can get that to lay down. I wanted to keep this at 30 minutes and we're already at almost 40. So I will do this one up, and my plan is tomorrow to finish these up and record it, and then I'll upload the edited version as a new YouTube video. We'll see, or maybe a reel. I don't know. I have no idea, but I promise to share the finishing touches with you. All right, so let's see if do we like that? Do we like this? Yeah, I think we can work with that. This one could actually be really cool with a little bit of maybe a little bit of a metallic. I really like the earthy, naturey feel of this, but I think in the brown that this works better with this color. And so this needs to be stuck down too. And so, but when I take this aside, so I think we're getting somewhere with this, and I'm going to look at them. So let's look at the three that we've created, that we've started with. I should not have worn a white shirt today. So we have this one with more of the brown. We have this one that we're going to fill in the flower. I think this is my favorite so far. And then we have this one where we used that little jute glassine paper. And so we have a really fun base already started. And so I think it's going to be, I think it'll be fun. And I'm going to trust that the inspiration will come to me tomorrow. So anyway, I think I'm frozen. Part of me is frozen on the camera. And so I'm not going to pull myself up, but I am going to say thank you so much for joining me. And this is just a start. So I want to just encourage you to use your gel prints and make little collages, and then make a photocopy of them onto a specialty paper if you want. And then you can use them for all kinds of little things. And so I'm going to really have fun with these, and I look forward to sharing the final results with you. And again, thank you so much for joining me for another studio sessions at 2. I love creating with you, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.